My first instrument was the piano. I was very fortunate. There was one in the house. I'm too young to remember, but I believe my parents said that I picked up cartoon show themes by ear, and I just went to it naturally. I started lessons when I was about 5, but by the 3rd grade, which is about age 8, I was also writing music. I loved to improvise. So when I found jazz in my late teens, it was kind of a natural fit because I'd always loved to improvise, and I had learned a lot about music theory and harmony and stuff as a small child. So the language of music was very accessible to me. It was just a question of getting my time together and learning tunes and getting my butt kicked on the bandstands of Cincinnati, Ohio, which is where I'm from. And I'll be 60 this year, so that would be around 1973, 74 when I started to apprentice with some of the older musicians in Cincinnati, and they were great. My first paid gig was probably at a private party when I was in high school. That would be my guess. Probably a friend of a friend said, come and play some songs. My parents are having a party, and I think that was sort of the beginning. I vividly remember my very first gig in New York City when I moved there in 1977. It was a place in the village called Barbara's, which is long gone. It had a white piano, which is always a bad sign when you see a white piano. And I played a door gig, and I made $7, and I was living on East 11th Street. My rent was $175, but I was so happy to be a working musician in New York. I remember going and splurging on a falafel after the gig. Well, I had a lot of mentors in the classical music world. I studied private theory and composition with a composer named Walter Mays from 3rd grade to 7th grade. So I did pretty much what a freshman would do at a conservatory by the time I was out of elementary school. The local musicians in Cincinnati, particularly a saxophonist named Jimmy McGarry and a wonderful guitarist named Cal Collins, were really supportive and gave me some tough love as well. And then when I moved to New York, I was lucky enough to play with Joe Henderson for many years, and Art Farmer, and Stan Getz, and Charlie Hayden. The bassist Sam Jones was an early mentor. He was one of the all-time great swinging bass players. Played for many years with Cannonball Adderley and Oscar Peterson, and when he took me under his wing, that gave me a lot of cred as a young jazz pianist to be. If Sam said you were cool, basically you were cool. So, but I've had so many people that have influenced me over the years. I mean, it's, in all fields, music from Brazil, jazz, classical, composition, and I've lived in New York for 38 years. Well, I mean, I listen to really a lot of stuff. I mean, classic R&B, some jazz. Lately, I've been into Sonny Clark, kind of a semi-obscure pianist who had a big influence on Tommy Flanagan and Bill Evans, had a number of people. He died very young, unfortunately. I kind of try to keep up with also what's happening in New York. I go out and hear music. Young musicians, if I've heard about them and I'm free, I'll go check them out. I learn a lot from the few students that I teach. They keep me on my toes. And, I didn't really study jazz very much except with Jackie Byard at New England Conservatory, and he was certainly a mentor, and he got me into playing the whole piano. And I'm, I guess, one of the go-to guys now for solo piano. I'm releasing my 10th solo album September 4th, so another live solo album. So yeah, I have a lot of interest, influences, in the classical music world, and really from all over. I consider myself a fairly wide listener, but I also like silence. You know, I don't have music on in the house all the time. You know, it's just nice to have quiet and see what comes into my brain. I'm not a heavy practicer at this point in my life. I do play the piano, you know, and not every day, but I'll sit down and play. I'm a big fan of using a timing device. Like, I actually have an old kitchen timer that I kind of like. And when I'm trying to get stuff done, I'll set it at 45-minute intervals, and I'll either try to write a tune within that 45-minute time frame, or say 45 minutes I have to sit at the piano before I get up and do email or make an espresso or something. When I compose, depending on what I'm composing, it really depends. I've been many times to artist residencies in the US and in Italy and Canada, and that's, you know, dedicated time just for composing. If I have a large project, it's a way to get a kind of a good concentrated start without the distractions of New York. My partner Scott and I have a second home in Pennsylvania, a couple hours away from our place in Soho in New York, and I go out there sometimes for stretches of uninterrupted composing time. One new project that's coming up for me in the fall is a staged song cycle called Rooms of Light, and it's a piece with 5 singers and 8 instruments and lighting. And I worked with a wonderful poet named Mary Jo Salter, and all the songs are about different aspects of photography, whether it's advertising, Civil War photographs, wedding albums, paparazzi, pornography, x-rays and mammograms, outer space photography, situational songs. And so that's a very specific thing, setting text, which I really enjoy doing. I did a big project of Walt Whitman's poetry. That was my first kind of foray into text setting. And so that's different. You kind of have a frame because you have words, and hopefully the music is going to add something to the words. I do find that a lot of poetry is so inherently musical that to add music is not really gonna add anything. It may even detract. So I look for poetry that speaks to me that I think will benefit from the addition of music. Hi, I'm Fred Hersch, and for more videos, please go to JazzTimes.com.